Hello, everyone. I'm Angela Hood. I'm the founder and CEO of This Way Global, and I am so very excited to have a longtime friend of mine, Shelly Douglas, join us from CHC. Thank you for joining today. I want you to tell everyone what CHC does, how long they've been around, and then also we are going to share a partnership on how we are working together for 1 million jobs, helping 1 million people and raising $1 million. So welcome, Shelly.
Hi, Angela. Thank you for having me. So CHC, Creating Healthier Communities, has been around for almost 70 years. We have worked really hard connecting our high impact nonprofit partners with companies across the country. And when I say companies, I mean both in the private and the public sector. And we just help them to raise money, build capacity. Some of them are small, some of them are large. Think St. Jude is actually our largest nonprofit partner. Wow. All the way to really small community-based organizations that are doing direct work with communities. So we have raised over $330 million over the past 5 years. And also in the Combined Federal Campaign, which I'm sure you as a military family, you're familiar with the Combined Federal Campaign.
Yeah,
but
very much so.
Yes. And the Combined Federal Campaign is just a mechanism for people to give back to nonprofits, federal employees, military to give back to nonprofits. And since its inception, we have raised over $1 billion in that campaign. So yeah, I tell people really that I beg for money. I beg for, I build partnerships and just try to get creative raising money.
Well, what I have found so incredible is the network that CHC already has in companies, but the nonprofit and for-profit organizations that partner with you, there's over 5,000. And I don't think that people realize just the amount of work and the amount of organizations that rely on you for their funding. And then the volume of companies that have trusted you to make sure that the capital that these organizations they care about is coming from them and from their employees and from their partners into you. That's why I think we're, just very excited about what we've been working on together. Very short story is that we have known each other for a really long time, and we started having a conversation about how we could work on something like this together since 2016. And now it's actually come to fruition. We made the announcement that we were really going to make it become concrete earlier this year, but we actually officially launched it at HR Tech this year in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And it was very exciting to be able to have you in the room. And we had this great suite where we had people coming up and meeting with us. And we ended up having this synergy between our two companies that was not even planned. We just had people that would show up that we both knew. And we're like, wait, how do you know them? Which I think that's so cool because it really points to when you work with companies that have a similar culture, you end up just having this Venn diagram of interest and influence and more importantly, impact.
Yes. And I'm gonna take it a step further in how long we've known each other, because she never says this. And so we are much older than this, but we've known each other since we were 12. And actually at one point, as 12-year-olds, stood on a stage together, which is so funny of where we are now, again, much older than 12. But it's really been an honor to kind of do this work with you. I think when we reconnected, we had both been following what, we were doing separately, and our missions really mirror each other. And I'm going to paraphrase yours, but, all people for all jobs and CHC, who really, we envision a world where everyone has the ability to be healthy. And I think, the very cool thing that happened in Las Vegas is so like Angela said, we had appointments that were coming up to the suite. And the very first appointment on our first day was King County in Washington State. And King County just so happens to be a really big partner of ours, corporate, public partner for CHC, and raise quite a bit of money for our nonprofit partners up in that part of the country. So like you said, it's very cool to watch when those kinds of things align. Yeah. And we're just so, first of all, as a friend, I'm proud that This Way Global and that you have built social impact kind of into your business model. I think you had it in your mind from the very beginning that we're not only going to build revenue, but we also want to give back to the community in the very space that we're doing our work in. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I think that it really comes down to my team. My team individually, they give in their own specific ways. And they, part of the reason why they join our company is our culture is around, we can do better. Like we can. The fact that people go without jobs or they go without being seen for jobs that they're fully qualified for because of bias, and the fact that we have tech that can, mitigate that bias. It's hard to remove all bias because we're still humans, but the technology is so good at mitigating that bias. And then the companies find the talent that they want. And at the same time, we are able to contribute back to the nonprofit that the companies care about. I know that one of the things that I'm excited about announcing, we announced it a little bit when we were on the Chad and Cheese podcast, but we didn't really get into specifics because, well, Chad and Cheese decided we were going to have a whiskey tasting, and I don't drink whiskey, so probably wasn't the best time for us to have the big reveal. But we are going to contribute, rather than $1 a job, we're going to contribute $20 a job for the rest of the year. So all of 2022, any job that comes through our system through a CHC partner or a company or affiliate will be able to garner $20 per job. And then that's going to go directly to CHC into the entity that the company feels strongly about working with, or the company or the entity that CHC has designated to receive the funding. But I'm very excited because the end of the year is where a ton of jobs get pushed through the system. People may not think about this, but think of all the holiday jobs, fulfillment centers, retail, hospitality, restaurants, all of this stuff really ramps up in the last quarter. And we are seeing so many companies that are really desperate to find qualified talent. So we will be able to introduce those jobs to the CHC network and end up raising money at the same time. And I can't wait to launch it October 1st.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I think too, launching a job, I mean, I think most companies these days, and hopefully I say this, have some type of corporate social responsibility plan, right? So they're giving back in some way, whether that's through workplace giving or volunteerism or corporate gifts, or if they have foundations. This is a very passive way to give back. Yes.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about this too. And our hope is that once they do this kind of passive give back, that we'll be able to get connected at a deeper level also to do some other really cool projects with the companies, because CHC, we probably 17 million employees are touched by CHC programs. They actually give back to programs or engage in volunteerism with us through us. And I think by getting more connected to companies, I mean, it helps their employees in so many ways to feel good about their jobs. Yeah. And, we want people to keep their jobs, right? We want people to be happy in their jobs, and giving back is a great way to do that.
Well, the thing that I think a lot of employers overlook is that people, especially millennials, so a lot of people think millennials are statically in their 20s, but millennials right now are 40 years old, like that's on the upper range. And so they're the bulk of the workforce. And millennials care a great deal about anyone that they work with, anyone that they buy from. They care about what those companies stand for. And I think it says a lot about when you're interviewing someone for a job and you can say, hey, when I posted this job out to the world, we are also going to be able to give money back to nonprofits and to organizations that the world cares about. And we're going to be able to make an impact. And it's a way for you to, as a recruiter or a company, to immediately set the tone for a discussion that you're having with a candidate that you really want to cultivate into your organization. And to me, I think that's important at a level that you really can't buy, because it is a way for you to demonstrate that you have aligned yourself around impact. But the great thing is, it does not come out of their pocket. We're paying it. This way is paying it.
Right.
And that's our part of giving back, and us aligning ourselves with companies that we believe are doing the right thing. And then obviously organizations that you as CHC have vetted. And so we get to kind of participate on both sides in a really great way without us taking the lead, because we're trusting CHC to make those calls.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're really walking the walk, right?
Yeah.
So you've created this platform that helps mitigate bias. And then at the end of that, you're also saying, but hey, we know we can't completely eliminate bias.
Right.
So here are ways that companies can give back to those nonprofits that are doing work to help support, people of color and the underserved and the uninsured. And so
Yeah.
it's a very cool, I think, we say this all the time, and I've said this in different presentations with you, but we had a conversation around this at our 30-year high school reunion.
Oh my gosh, Shelly.
I know, I'm telling everyone all of our secrets.
I know, you just telling the secrets right now.
Yeah. But I think we walked away from that and we kind of laughed. But I think at the end of that, we were like, okay, small goal, how can we change the world together? And
Right.
So, yeah, it's super exciting to see it come to life and really, really making an impact on both sides of this. So,
yeah. And I think that, so I want to kind of restate and make it more simple what it is that people do. So companies will come through our platform. They share the job. What we do as a company is we surface qualified talent for that job. And then we can also send that job out to our network. We have 8,500 partners that we work with, some of them being CHC partners. And this job is seen by very specific networks that match to the job type or the job location, kind of depending on what's more pertinent. But we have entry-level jobs. We have jobs that are available for people that have past records, which sometimes is a really big struggle. We have jobs that are very specifically organizations that have made a very intentional effort towards hiring more people that are diverse. Our population's more diverse, so it's really not as big of a hurdle as people might imagine, but you have to be able to see the talent. And so that's what we're working on, making sure that you're seeing diverse talent so you have the opportunity to talk to them. And then the last component is to make sure that people understand that they're not having to do the outreach themselves. They're not having to select organizations that are financially compliant and all that, because CHC has already done this. Also, This Way is not responsible for picking those organizations. So we don't have any like pet projects that we're doing. This is us completely turning over that responsibility to someone who knows it inside and out for over 70 years or almost 70 years. Who is looking for the money and who that money is really going to benefit. I think one of the things that we're looking for too is if you are a customer of ours, or if you're an organization that we already work with, and you want to kind of nominate an organization to possibly receive the funding down the road, we welcome that. I know CHC does too. And I'm looking forward to seeing what rises to the top.
Yes. It's exciting. I mean, we are working on, and to your point, we vet these nonprofits every year. It doesn't matter if you're a St. Jude or a small community-based organization with a really small budget. We put everyone through the same application process. So 990s financials, we have to see all of that to raise money for you. So we are doing the vetting. We're making sure that they are good stewards of the money that's being raised, and you don't have to worry about that. So
Well, I know that this month we are focused on maternal health and a lot of organizations around that. One of my very early internships was with one of the companies that's leading the charge, which is Hilti. And we have a big event that we're both participating in, but it's really been championed by CHC. We're just coming and visiting and hosting a dinner. So can you talk a little bit about the event that we have? And I believe Hulu is connected to this, so it'd be good to hear more about that too.
Yeah, so CHC for a couple of years has been really vested in specific causes. So although we have provided funds and build capacity for nonprofits, we've really rallied around things that we see in the community that need funding. So it just so happens that last year we received a very large grant, $7 million from an organization, and it's around Black maternal health. And so unfortunately in this country, women in general, we have a very poor maternal health outcome and infant mortality rate compared to other countries. And Black women die 3 to 4 times the rate of white women or women not of color. And so we really have stepped up to do the work around this to figure out it is really about standard of care and bias and other things. So there's a documentary that was launched on July 19th called Aftershock, and it follows 2 women who, because of their standard of care, end up dying. And it's a very powerful documentary. It was released by Hulu and ABC Studios, and we're just really honored that this week, Wednesday, we are doing a screening of Aftershock in Washington, D.C. It is sponsored by Hilti North America, presented around the work that CHC is doing. But we've invited 100 people to come and watch the documentary. And then we have been very blessed that the people in the documentary that give incredible insight and lived these experiences are coming to be on a panel and will attend the documentary screening. So very excited. It's just the beginning of kind of that work. I know it's not a new topic, but it is something that with this documentary and the information around it is really, it's something that CHC is very passionate about, maternal health and women of color. And I know you, although you look very white, you are a woman of color. And so I know it's important to you as well. So we're just really excited for you to guys to be coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that people don't realize the amount of people in this country that are impacted by these types of problems. You know, women are at least half of the population. And then if you think about that, my numbers show that roughly 65% are somehow impacted by the discussion that we have. So that is tens of millions of people in this country. And we're not going to even talk about outside the U.S. Just let's talk about inside the U.S. for right now. But I'm very happy to be part of it. I'm really happy too that so many of the companies that we work with are very focused on increasing the women in their organizations. They realized, in particular, like in tech teams, that there's just imbalance, and they're trying to right that a little bit. It's going to take time. This is not something that you can just push a button and say, okay, let's make it happen. But with that, with more women being in executive roles, I think that this topic and focus on this type of clearing of the air and showing the real numbers and showing what has really been going on in the past, and then also giving people some tangible ways that they can help. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to ramp up our part of the giving for the rest of the year is I feel like that if we can kind of lead the way, we shouldn't be telling our customers, hey, you should be doing this if we're not willing to do it either. And I think you mentioned earlier, walk the walk.
Yeah.
And this way feels very important. It feels like it's very important that we do that. So I appreciate y'all giving us the opportunity because that's part of what is required is companies have to be made aware. Number one,
Sure.
they have to be given sort of some direction to say, how can you make an impact? And we wanted to make it easy for them and not have to go through 10 compliance meetings and 8 board meetings and everything else about trying to get this approved. So we said, let's just take part of the money that comes in through our revenue and let's share that out to CHC.
I love that. I'm a big believer in, we have so many meetings. We meet.
I know.
All good intention, right? We want to do great things, but sometimes you just got to do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You just got to start running instead of, so I'm happy that you guys are in that same mindset, because we've done a little bit of that ourselves. We launched this project a little bit not knowing how it would go down and how we were going to do it, but it's still in our plan, and it may change from day to day. But we still have a goal, and we still have a stretch goal.
That's right.
We're doing.
Well, I know that I looked around in the suite at HR Tech, and so we were down in the booth on the floor, and then we also had the suite upstairs. And there was a point I looked around in the suite, and it was, I don't know, 80% women. And that has never happened at HR Tech. It was a shift. It was also, I think, like proof that women wanted to be able to talk about some of these things, talk about how to make a bigger impact, and also how can we help each other. It was a much more, to me, it was not such a competitive space upstairs as it was downstairs. I know when I was downstairs at the booth, much more balanced, men and women, and but very competitive. People were not really sitting around and collaborating about how they can make a difference. And filling jobs is making a difference. I mean, our companies and our economy needs this right now. So filling jobs is one thing. Helping the candidate have a better experience and help them get more jobs surfaced to them that they're qualified for is massive impact. Being able to put food on your table and a shelter over your head is paramount. That's basics. But a lot of people are struggling to do that, and which is just mind-boggling still at this point of our evolution. And then the last component, being able to do both of those things at the same time, is meeting your corporate social responsibility and that not having to come out of your pocket, so you can do it very easily. I don't know that this type of a solution has ever existed in the market. I'm not aware of it. So I think it's significant, and I'm really hoping that our listeners and our customers will say, how can I be part of this? And make sure that the jobs that they launched this year, so this is again in 2022, it's a 20x give as opposed to normal. So this is massive.
Yes. And I just want to say again, you guys, This Way Global has put CHC, and I've said this before, whenever you have a room full of business owners, business leaders, people that are able to make an impact, you are doing a disservice if you don't speak about corporate social responsibility. You can talk about the business side of things, but at the end of the day, companies do want to make a difference. You've given us the opportunity to do that every time we're together. And so we really appreciate that.
Of course. So I would like for you to tell everyone that's listening. So if they have a company that would say, like, I would like to be working with an organization like you, I'd like our nonprofits or our organizations that we care about to be included in this, how do they reach out to someone at CHC? So just to be clear, This Way does not manage any of the nonprofit relationships. We don't manage that arm at all. We are solely on the jobs side. So who would they reach out to, and how do they contact you?
So I would, I'm going to give you my email address. It's just sdouglas@chcimpact.org. And be sure to go to our website at chcimpact.org. tells you all the information about all the great work we're doing across the country and our partners and the people that are involved. We have a really diverse, strong board of directors with that are doing amazing work in the community. So yeah, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to get you started.
Well, I do think looking at your board of directors is a good way for people to validate that the work that you're doing has been vetted by some of the biggest organizations in the world, not just in the US, and that it continues to increase in impact. So this is just a dabbling of what's really going on at CHC, but we're hoping that the initial traction that we've gotten and the interest from very big organizations is an indication that this is really going to stick, and it's going to be something that we'll be able to do for decades forward.
Yes, and since you mentioned it, we do have brands like Walmart, Starbucks, Chevron, the Cleveland Cavaliers on our board of directors. We also have a corporate leadership council, and those are huge brands that are coming together once a month. We bring them together to talk about social impact and the very cool things they're doing, and so have relationships with the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. So very cool. All the information is on our website. Again, chcimpact.org if you want more information. And then, please reach directly out to me if you want to know more about the This Way Global Partnership and other things that we're working on.
Awesome. Very much appreciate you taking time. I know how busy you are right now. They are in the heat of it over at CHC because there's so many companies that are trying to make sure their 2022 social impact goals have been met, and they use CHC to make that happen. So thank you for taking time, and I can't wait to see you this week in DC.
Thanks, Angela. See you soon.
All right. Bye.